Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us this Friday morning. We are so glad that you are here today. My name is John Shoemaker from the Department of Educational Technology, and I'm serving as moderator for this session to share about some additional ways you can use the Smart Learning Suite online to continue to create engaging lessons for your students. Before we get started with our guests, I want to just remind you of a few of our pointers that we talk about at the beginning of each of our sessions. As always, you know, this is actually streaming live on YouTube right now and is being recorded. So whenever it's finished, it will actually be posted to our channel down below, Palm Beach Educational Technology Training Team channel. And the chat will also be there. So it takes a little bit for the chat to appear, maybe up to a day if YouTube is kind of busy. But what we would love you to do is to click that subscribe button down below beside our name. We are up to almost 1.3 thousand subscribers. We appreciate you. But also we know that 65% of you that watch this stream are not subscribed. So we would love to have your subscription just because that will let you know when we're going live. And if you were here this morning, we shared just a sneak peek of what we're going to be doing at in May, which is a lot of fun. And I'll share that same info at the end here. Also, don't forget, everything is posted to our EdTech training site as well, edtechtraining.palmbeachschools.org. That has all of the resources. We just changed the layout. So the layout used to be where it was in the top right. Now the menu system is on the left-hand side. So when you're there, you can open up all the different sections under live stream resources. We do have a full Smart Learning Suite online page on the website. And all of the videos, I think this may be the fourth or fifth Smart Learning Suite online video that we've done. And we have more coming next week as well. But all of that is on the website too. Just know if you're watching the embedded version on the website, you don't get the chat box. So you can open it up in YouTube and watch and see the chat as well. Speaking of that chat box, over there on the right-hand side is your chat box. If you've never used it before, you can click in there and you just have to hit create channel, and that's fine. And then you'll be able to join the conversation. And we would love to have you guys join the conversation, ask questions. We have our friendly minions over there, our moderators with a wrench in the chat box. They are our smart people and our ed tech team that are there to answer any questions you have, and also some questions that we may be able to bring on live to our guests here. So please use that, share ideas, ask your questions, all of that fun stuff. So with that, today I'm going to introduce my guests, and today's guests we have Hillary and Mickey. Hillary is from SMART, which is the people who are bringing our smart boards. And Mickey is actually our elementary mathematics program planner. So he is here to kind of help bring in a curriculum view aspect into how we can use the SMART tools, use our district resources, and just make lessons more engaging. So we're not just doing, pencil or annotation over PDF. So hopefully we can share ideas to make your lessons engaging and exciting for your students. So with that, I will turn it over to Hillary. I will bring up your screen, and feel free to take it away.
Thanks, John. So like John said, we are here to talk about smartifying your lessons. And we're taking content that you already have and transforming it for digital learning. We know we were close to the end of the year whenever we moved over from traditional face-to-face learning to online learning, and some of the curriculum we have that we had planned originally doesn't fit. So we're going to show you some tools that you can use to transform your lessons to be used digitally. My name is Hillary Matevia. I am a smart training specialist. My region is Central West Palm Beach and some Western areas. So I've got Royal Palm and Wellington and some other areas like that. And I also have a special guest here with me today, Mickey.
Hi, good morning, everybody. My name is Mickey Banek. As John said, I'm the elementary math program planner for the school district of Palm Beach County. And what we were planning this training for today was to take some of the content that we're already using and then smartifying that. And Hillary is going to show you some really great tips on how easy it can be to take something as simple as even like a PowerPoint presentation or a Google slide deck and make it more engaging and interactive for your kids.
Perfect. Thanks, Mickey. So we'll get started with our objective. Today, we're looking to transform a pre-created lesson into an interactive learning experience using Smart Learning Suite Online. We're going to do that a couple of ways. First, we're going to evaluate a lesson that we already have to see how it can fit into virtual learning. Then we'll use Smart Learning Suite Online to transform the lesson using a few of the built-in tools that I'll be sure to show you. And at the end, I'll quickly review how to add a Smart Learning Suite lesson to your Google Classroom and show you the student view and the teacher view of the lesson after it's been posted to your classroom. We do have our SMART team in the chat, so if you have any questions, please feel free to share your questions there and they'll answer those for you. Also, we want to hear about the instructional ideas and ways that you've been using your Smart Learning Suite in your classroom. It's always great for other teachers to hear the instructional purposes that you've been doing. So you've got your pre-created lesson. Now what? What's the next steps? So we are going to talk about how to evaluate your lesson to turn it into digital or virtual learning. So we always plan with the end in mind. There's a couple of options you have right now for delivering your lessons. You can do live via Google Meet, lead a lesson, or you can do a student-paced lesson, which is what we're going to show today. But these are some of the questions that I use to make sure that my lesson fits what my purpose is, what my end is. So one way that I evaluate is to ask myself first, how can my students engage with the material authentically? What in the content that I have can be interactive and what needs to be done in a traditional way? And then what do I need to add to my lesson, remove from my lesson, or adapt in order for it to fit into digital learning? The second question is you want to assess your delivery options. Will it be live or student-led? Will it need to be done in a traditional way or a more interactive way? And then finally, how will my students show standards mastery? While we aren't learning in a traditional classroom, we still want our students to be learning and growing from what we're showing. So with that said, let's get started with Smart Learning Suite Online. I'm going to go access my Google Drive, however you typically get there. And this is where I want you to access the Smart Learning Suite. Every time you're accessing Smart Learning Suite, you're going to go to your Drive, and you can use New, More, Smart Learning Suite. It's already there for you. You don't have to worry about setting it up. You'll just click New, More, Smart Learning Suite. The reason we recommend that you access this from Google Drive is for several reasons. One being that it always saves in your Google Drive. The second reason is that you have access to sharing that with colleagues or adding it to your Google Classroom really easily. So when you open your Smart Learning Suite, you're going to get to this landing page, or we call it the Choose Your Own Adventure page. There's many options here, but the one I'm going to highlight today is to import resources because we're talking about content that you already have. So using this drop-down menu, I can select to import a resource from my Google Drive or from my device. So if you have a PDF or PowerPoint or something saved to your computer that you'd like to use, you just select from here. Today, I'm going through my Google Drive, and my lesson is right here. So we're going to be talking about liquid volume. So I'll press select, and it imports the lesson in. It just takes a couple of seconds while that's loading. But the reason I chose this lesson is because this is one of my favorite lessons to teach in class with students. It's really engaging. They have a lot of fun. And so I'm excited to get to show you how I take a lesson that I love to teach in class and make it just as exciting to learn and present digitally for my students. It does take just a couple of seconds to load to make sure everything's good to go. Once that's done, you'll see it appear. And here we are. So I am in my blue editing screen. I always know it's editing because at the top it says finish editing. Here's where I have the title, and you can just edit it right here. I like to just change the name so that I know it's the lesson that I'm changing to SLSO. And let's take a little preview of what we've got so far. Got the editing and title up here, which I've already pointed out. Then I have 3 buttons at the top. This little finger is the cursor, the mouse. The A is to add text, and then this Polaroid picture with the plus adds images. we are going to get started, and I'll show some of those to you. So here I have my hook. This is something that I would typically just ask my students, and I would maybe say to them, all right, we're not going to say the answer out loud. We're just going to think for a few minutes. If you were very thirsty, like you just came back from PE or a really hot recess, what would you rather have, a liter of water or a milliliter of water? I don't want you to say it out loud. I just want you to think about it. Well, obviously, I can't say all of those things to my kids right now. I'm choosing to do a student-led lesson. So instead, I can just add this over here, like I think, or I notice, or I wonder. And I can put these questions over here for my students to think about. I do want it to stand out a little bit, so I'm going to make it a little bit bigger using these text editing features. We'll make it a different color. And then a tool that I use in my class all the time is emojis. And that's just kind of a symbol that we've used, so my students are really familiar with that. So I'm going to use this image insert button here. Now I could upload an image from my computer using the select image in the upload area. I can add a web link to an image, or I can just use this add online images. It's a Bing safe search, and it's all Creative Commons license, so they're free to use. So I'm just going to search the thinking emoji, which is one my students are very familiar with. And I'm just going to drag and drop him over here. Now that's way too big, but you'll see that it's got this little blue handle in the corner. So I'm just going to scooch him so he's the right size, and then put him over here. The next two slides are for my students to review and read on their own. I'm not going to add anything there. But now I'm down here back to my lesson opener, or my hook that I wanted my students to think about. Now I actually want my students to answer. In class, I might tell them to whisper the answer into their hand and blow it out, or to share it with a turn and talk partner. But now I want my students to engage with this authentically. So what I can do is add in, I can convert this to an activity and add in some directions. So utilizing this text feature at the top again, I'm going to tell my students to answer the question using the pencil, inserting text, or insert an image. Now, you may be wondering, let me resize this, how can my students do these things if this is just a screen for them? They're just reading it. How can they interact with it? So what I'd like for my students to do, or for what I'd like for you to do, is take a look down here at the very bottom of my screen. Do you see where it says this page is view only on student devices? And then it says convert to activity with a little magic wand. If I click this magic wand, I have the ability to make this page an individual handout. What that does is it provides each student in my class with their own digital copy where they can manipulate what's on this page. So if I click this, it says I have a handout, and I'm going to click preview to show you what it looks like. So my students are able to take a look at this, and then they can utilize some Smart Learning Suite tools, which I'll show you on the student end, to use the pencil to draw, like circle one, insert text, or insert an image. One of my favorite things about using handouts in class, especially whenever I leave these options like answer with the pencil, text, or image, is I give the students a lot of student agency. They have the ability to choose what's best for them, and I get a lot of creative answers. So here, where it says handout, I actually can change this title to a Would You Rather. That's a pretty popular book in 3rd grade, so they are very familiar with Would You Rather. All right, so now I'm done with that slide. Now, the rest of these, from 6 and on, are some fun facts. I think my kids like to look at these how they are. It's how I would typically do this in class. But when I get down to 15, slide number 15, this is the active engagement portion of my class, where we would work at our table groups to sort containers in order from smallest capacity to largest capacity. I can't do that right now with our current setup. So what I need to do is make it an activity where my students can engage with us and get to try it out themselves. So down here on my screen, you'll see this blue and white plus button. And this brings us back to kind of that Choose Your Own Adventure page where I have several options. You can input a YouTube video. These are some ready-made activities and games. But right here, New Page gives us a blank page. I'm going to click this blank page. And what I'm going to do is copy those directions, but modify it for online learning. So I'm going to type in your turn. I'm going to make it bold so it really stands out. And then I'm going to take those directions, which were provided on the previous page, and input them here. So put your containers in order from smallest capacity to largest capacity. And then I'm just going to give them the definition of capacity. Okay, I'm also going to make these stand out like they did on the previous page. I'm going to make that bold, turn it blue, same thing with largest, utilizing these text tools. All right, and then pull it over so my students can read it. Now, utilizing the insert image option here, I'm going to input some online images that are show different capacity. Once again, you can choose images from your computer or if you have a link to them, but I can just search right here. So I'm going to choose an eyedropper, search, and drag that over. I'm going to do a couple more. Choose a coffee cup. That espresso looks good. Really wish I could go to a coffee shop right now and get an espresso. Tired of my Keurig cups at home. And then I'm going to choose some that are big. So I'll do a soda bottle. Those usually come in liters. Here we go. And then choose one more that's extra big, like a swimming pool. Okay, and drag it up. All right, so now you can't really see because I haven't sized them. I'm going to resize them, make sure they're not put in order from smallest to largest in the order that my students get. So let's resize. Okay, so now my students have the ability to move these around. But what I don't want to do is have my students have the ability to move around the pictures and also my directions. So if I click the words, you'll see it has a little blue and white arrow at the top. And here I have a drop-down menu of a couple of options. I can lock the text, which is what we're going to do so the students can't move it. I'm going to point out just these two here. Duplicate means to copy. So it just provides the exact copy. And then infinite cloner gives you an unlimited amount of whatever you've infinitely cloned. This is a really great option for math manipulatives. Like let's say you're using base 10 blocks and you wanted to never run out of them, we would infinitely clone them. Same thing if you're doing like phonics and you need the letter tiles, we just infinitely clone them and then our kids can build as many words as they want. I'm going to choose to lock my title in place. Same thing with my directions. Now my students can't move these. And now there's one last step. I've made this. Got to use my magic wand again to give each student their own copy. So I convert to an activity and make an individual handout. All right, I'm going to change the title here. Smallest. I'm actually going to put the directions. Sort from smallest to largest. Okay, you could preview that and get a look at the student view. Looks good to me. Okay, last thing. This is where my students do active engagement on their own. It's the I do portion of the game or of the lesson. And it's a game. They write letter and milliliter, they write liter or milliliter in their notebook and then they sort images into where they think they go. And when they get it right, they can glue them down in their notebook. That's how I've always done this. That is not going to work for what we're doing now. And on here, you see I have individual pictures of everything. So what I'm going to utilize, if I come down again to this blue and white plus button, is I'm going to utilize a game that's already built into the Smart Learning Suite. So if I click into game-based activities, there's all of these different games, and you can read the description and also utilize this preview magnifying glass to get a picture of what it is. It gives you a little bit better of an idea. I'm going to go down here. I already know which one I want. I want the super sort. And it says students sort items into 2 categories. Well, that's exactly what we were doing in class. We were just physically moving paper. So I'm going to choose super sort here. And I'm going to put in the titles, the category titles, milliliters and liters. Now, one of my favorite things about the super sort is I could choose to add images from my computer if I wanted. So I just would click this button and anything that you have on your computer will pull up. I'm instead going to just use text this time because I want my students to make sure that they're working on their reading skills too. So here we go. We've got coffee cup. I'm just looking at the pictures on the right in order to fill these in. I'm sorry, those pictures are on my left. All right, we've got a baby bottle, bucket, juice box, lake, and a teapot. Okay, I'm going to fix some of my formatting here because I capitalized everything except the baby bottle. Okay, so now I just press next. And then I can choose a background for my game if I'd like. You can choose your own image if you wanted to upload something from your computer. But I like this island one. We're talking about liquid volume, and there's a nice little beach in the back. So we're all missing the beach right now. Okay, so I'm just going to take a little preview and see what my students will see. So here we are. And what the students are able to do is they just grab and put it in the correct spot. Okay, let's say they get one incorrect. You can see what will happen. It just shoots it back, and so they can try again. What I really love about this game is that they can play it several times until they master it, and it's really fun for the students to play. They enjoy it. Okay, so I've inputted this game. It's not exactly where I want it. I want it to go up here. And now I need to clean up what I've done so far. So utilizing this little trash can icon, you may have missed it. It's in the far right-hand corner. You can use that trash can icon to get rid of the extra slides that you no longer need because we've converted them to a digital version. So I'm just pressing that. Okay, I don't need this. That's actually an old page. All right, so the final thing I want to wrap up my lesson. So we got to engage with the activities in a new way. We really got to feel out some new learning. But I want to know if my students are able now on their own to name something that holds a liter in just a few milliliters. So just like I did before, I'm going to convert this to an activity so that my students can engage with this the same way that they did. I'm also going to change the title just to where it says exit ticket and remind my students that this is required. Okay, it's done. I'm going to press finish editing. You'll know that it's done and saved when you click that check mark. It's going to bring you to this black screen. This is actually the presentation screen, but I mentioned earlier that I'm not planning on presenting this right now. I'm planning on doing this as a student-led lesson. So I'm going to go ahead and exit here. And now I'm back in my Google Drive. So here's my lesson that I just created, saved in my Google Drive already, 10.7 liquid volume. And I'm going to add this to my Google Classroom. So using the app selector, I click the Google Classroom. And I'm going to choose my class, go to classwork. Okay, here we are. This is where we upload it. So using the create button, I'm going to create an assignment. You can put the title here, liquid volume. And then you are able to use the add button right here to select directly from your Google Drive. So here it is in my most recent, but sometimes you haven't just made your lesson in the last 5 minutes like I have. So you can search in your drive to find that lesson. You select and add it, and there it is uploaded. But one of my very favorite tools about using Google Classroom and SLSO together is that I'm not just limited to that. I want to add in a Brain Pop Junior video. So this is one of the videos that I've actually showed my kids in my class whenever we're starting to use this lesson. So whenever I'm starting to teach this. So I'm just going to copy the link here and go back to my Google Classroom, and I'm going to add it on to my lesson right here, link. Click paste, and there we go. So now I've combined a Brain Pop Junior video and a Smart Learning Suite video. Here I'm going to add in the instructions. Here we go. Okay, so from here, I'm going to select my options, and anything that we want to do over here, I'm doing ungraded and choose assign. So here it is in my Google Classroom. Mickey, I think, did you have something you wanted to add in?
Yes. One thing that I saw when you made your game, you added text boxes for the students to sort, but couldn't you also do pictures to support your students who are English language learners or emerging readers?
Absolutely. Utilizing the images is a great option for students who are maybe emerging readers, like you said, or let's talk about our younger kids, VPK or pre-K who in kindergarten who aren't quite reading yet, and then also our English language learners who may need some more visual support. And the images are really helpful for the kids. Absolutely.
Thank you.
You're welcome. All right, so here I have added this to my Google Classroom, and what I'd like to just show you really quickly is what this looks like from the student perspective. So I've got a student class here. This is the student view of Google Classroom, and here is the lesson I just added. So I'm going to click Liquid Volume, and I'm going to view the assignment. So it says, students, please watch the Brain Pop video first, then complete the lesson titled 10.7. So they would watch Brain Pop, but I'm just going to show you the Smart Learning Suite file, what this looks like for a student. So they click, then they have the ability to open with Smart Learning Suite. The student will need to sign in if they haven't done so before. So I'm just going to choose Student Sign in with Google. And once they do this, it's really a one-click process for them. They just open the file and click Open with Smart Learning Suite, and it will take them right in. And so here I have the ability to engage with the content that we have. So it's going to take a second to load, and I'll kind of show you what it looks like from a student end and a teacher end. So over here, the students are able to navigate through the lessons. I'm just going to go down to this one so I know that we can do it really quickly. This is a handout, which we have several handout options in here. So if I press start, you can see that the students have these tools on the left-hand side. They've got a pen, image, and text. They also have the ability to move these around. Okay, just like I showed you before on the teacher end. Okay, if I wanted to, I could tell my students could type a note in here, smallest to largest, whatever they wanted to do. I'm going to click done to show my teacher that I'm finished, and then I can move on with my lesson. This looks the exact same on the student end as it did on the teacher end, so I would be able to play this game here. Okay, all right, so that's what the student end looks like. I've made it a practice for my students is after they've finished their Smart Learning Suite file and they watch their whatever is here, maybe it's a Google Doc or a Brain Pop video, they just mark it as done. So I, as the teacher, know that it's complete, and I can just keep the accountability and the process always the same for my students. And then the last thing we're going to take a look at really quickly is what that looks like from the teacher perspective. So I'm able to click into the lesson right here. And it's going to give me the ability to open it with Smart Learning Suite, and I can check out what my students are doing in real time. So as my students are engaging with this, I can check in. I can also give them notes and give them the feedback that they need in order to make progress here. So here we go, and I know that my student completed down here. So I can click this as the teacher and see student progress, and it will tell me all of my students who have started this. So I have one student that's done it so far. It has her name here, but if I have 20 students, it will say all of their names, and when they're finished, as long as they've pressed start, and when they're finished, as long as they've pressed done, it will have the green check mark here. So I can click her name, see what she's done. Okay, she got it right. I, as the teacher, can type a little note to her, great job. Keep it up. And the student is able to see that note if they go back in and check it. Okay, so here we go. All right, so that is, we did a lot today. That is everything we've got here. Just a quick recap of what we did. We did an evaluation of our lesson. Then we went to new, more Smart Learning Suite from Google Drive, and we edited and created a lesson using the content that we already have. And then finally, we uploaded that file into Google Classroom so the student could upload it or complete it on their own time. So I want to open up the floor now to Mickey. Do you have any last comments for us before we open up for questions?
I think this is going to be a really easy process for teachers to get started taking the content that they already have and to turn it into a smart lesson. I think the kids will really enjoy that.
It's been really fun, and we've seen a lot of increased student engagement with the teachers who have been utilizing this. So we will share this file. It's got a ton of great resources, everything that we've covered today. I do want to remind everyone that we want you to share out what you've been doing. So you can use our Google Plus communities if we can get that link in the chat for everyone. We also love when you guys share out on Twitter, and we really try and share everything out. And then we are also offering support for everyone at the campus level and at the individual teacher level. So if you're looking for maybe a PLC, someone to work with your grade level or your content area, we are glad to help at the school level and with teachers one-on-one. So any questions you have, please let us know. And John, I'd like to turn it over to you.
Sorry about that. I was answering a couple questions in the chat over there. Thank you guys so much. I think it's awesome that you were just able to take a lesson that you had and really make it more engaging and take it from our normal brick and mortar classrooms into something that students can actually engage with and interact with as well. So one of the questions that I see is, can you take things like the math book handouts as a PDF and make them as handouts inside of SLSO?
Yes, so the student activity pages from the textbook you can download onto your computer as a PDF and then upload those into Smart Learning Suite Online. So yes.
Okay. And how about, can students access the Smart Learning Suite Online, or do they need to download it?
That's actually a great question. So it's just web-based. They don't need to download anything. So they can be on a phone, Chromebook, regular laptop, iPad, doesn't matter, as long as they have access to the internet.
Because you have to remember what Hillary was showing was the teacher side for most of it. The students don't actually create these lessons. The teacher creates it, and then they share it with the student as she did in classroom, and the students simply open it up in the web browser, and that allows them to interact with the content. But that's a great question. There was a question before about only being able to upload one PDF per presentation. But one option is you could always combine PDFs, and we did share one of the resources that one of our colleagues, Dana Rubenstein, shared originally with us, which is PDF Candy.
Yes.
And so pdfcandy.com basically lets you take any PDF and do whatever you want with it. So you can actually take multiple PDFs on that website and put them together into one big PDF, and then import it into SLSO, and then you have multiple PDFs in there. So all great questions. One other thing to know is that, again, all of this is part of the Smart Learning Suite Online, and it really works well with our smart boards too, but this is nice because we don't have those right now. But these are also resources that when you go back to the classroom, you still have this. So you know, you may structure lessons differently because you don't have to teach your whole lesson online anymore, but you could create these games when we go back to the classroom and use them as interactive homework or interactive, you know, things that they can practice skills on. So this is a great tool that you're gonna have even when we get back to school. So it's good to learn it now.
I love it for blended learning as well. So I can really focus on a small group, but some of my students can be working on Chromebooks as an independent, maybe a station or as an addition to their learning. It's really awesome. So I can still be face-to-face in the classroom in a small group, and then students can continue on extending their learning on their own independently.
Oh yeah, that's a great idea. I didn't even think about that. It is also, don't forget, you know, the little asterisk we always have to share from our library media friends. Remember to follow all of our copyright rules as well, though. If you're not allowed to make multiple copies and share it out in these kind of environments, keep that in mind. You know, just keep them the copyright rules in mind too as you're sharing these things online. So if there are any more questions, please feel free to type them in the chat. we're going to do just a couple of our wrap-up slides as well while we're waiting. If you missed it this morning, you missed an amazing presentation panel this morning from our library media specialists across the district. It's definitely one you want to go back and watch. And even just looking at the chat in that session of all the amazing resources available that your library media specialist has for you, use them as an asset and reach out to them. We also thank our smart people for doing these sessions. We have another one on gamification next Friday. So we're going to have weekly smart live streams as we've been having before. On Monday morning, John Long and myself are actually going to be sharing how you, yes, you can use Apple products even on your Chromebook. So we're going to be showing how you can use Keynote and Pages on any device, including Chromebook. So that's going to be a great session where you're going to learn some new products that you can use as a teacher, and it will be coming soon for students as well. And then as we shared earlier today, on Monday afternoon, it is May the 4th. So we are having May the 4th be with you. And so we are having a takeover where the entire training team is coming together to talk about the light side and the dark side of the apps that are out there and tips and tools. So you're not going to want to miss that fun activity as well. Also coming soon in the next few weeks, we're going to start shifting gears away from training on products and integration. And we're going to take your students on field trips and share exciting careers with them. So what our hope will be is that you actually will be allowed to bring your students into all these unique places. We're trying to get people from around the world. You know, we already have a former president of the Walt Disney World Resorts who's going to join us and talk about what it was like to run Walt Disney World. So that's going to be an awesome discussion. So we're going to take you, since you can't go on your field trips to places around the world and the country. And as always, keep in mind that we have our assistance form. I know Hillary has fielded a lot of questions from that form as well. That bit.ly allows you to ask any question about any topic, about any Google, whatever, it doesn't matter. They will answer the question. So that's much easier of a response than emailing any of us, because multiple people will get that form at once and we can all tackle it together. So with that, it looks like there may be one question that came in right at the end. It hasn't made it into StreamYard yet. But I see a question from Susanna. We're just going to wait a second for it to pop here. Basically, how do I modify a slide I already turned into a handout, or is that not possible?
If you are still in Smart Learning Suite, you can press the undo on that slide. If you've already modified it into a handout, you won't be able to do that. So you just have to be really careful on what you choose there to turn into a handout or not.
So then you just have to redo that slide, I guess, right? Is really the way you would do it. Just redo the handout. Perfect. Great last question as we end here. So I'm gonna give it over to Hillary and Nikki and allow you guys to take us out and thank everyone for joining us.
All right. Well, thank you guys so much for joining us. As always, we're here to help, and we look forward to assisting you in the last few weeks of school.
And thank you very much for joining us. And as you can see, my team and I are going to have a lot of work to do to help get some good content in front of the teachers so that you guys have some really cool stuff to use with your kids.
Thank you, guys.